Now then, everyone, welcome to another episode of Highlander, the show where we are doing something a little bit different this week. I'm joined, as always, by my good friend and co-host, Jamie. How are you doing, Jamie?
Good, thanks, James. Hi, everybody.
I'm James, telling you to sit back and relax as we talk about some more cards. We are going to cover in this episode some of our personal favourite cards. These might not be the most powerful cards that have come out in the previous year, but we just wanted to cover some of our favourites. Some cards that are interesting for one reason or another. I suppose we'll talk about those now.
Animated Broomstick, neutral, 1 mana, 1/1, common, rush, battle cry, give your other minions rush. I mean, I think this is potentially the most impactful card of the whole year.
Whew, high praise.
For overall, across every class and every sort of...
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I can definitely see that. Like, it's extremely powerful. I mean, it turns out that 1 mana 1/1 is the best stat line in the game, right?
It's the set of the 1/1s, isn't it? Maybe not the sort of most. There's maybe like a Demon Hunter card if you were like Twin Slice or something. But if we're talking for all around across every class impact, I think Broom has to be in with a shout. When this was revealed, I think some people were like, this is bad, and some people were like, this is insane. And I don't think there was a sort of consensus for the either way, was there?
Do you know what? My memory of it is a little bit hazy. I remember a lot of people saying, how do I use this? And I thought exactly the same thing.
Yeah, that was it.
Yeah.
Well, it turns out you use it in a lot.
Yeah.
Broom is completely insane. The things we've said in the past about cards needing initiative to be good, like there's no point playing a big stat line if you're dead, all of this sort of thing. Well, Broom's 1 mana and it's Rocket Org Merchant, but it does it to the whole board.
Yeah.
I'm amazed it's not been nerfed.
If I'm honest with you, Jamie, I've got two things to say about that. The first is I would be willing to bet some money that this will be nerfed before it rotates.
Yeah.
The second thing I would say about it is it's interesting what you say about earlier about cards have to have rush to be good, right? To me, Broomstick, even if it's not the most powerful, which it's obviously it's an extremely powerful card, for me it's the embodiment of what Hearthstone is right now, right? And that's not a good or a bad thing. I just mean as in like it's initiative. It's pure initiative on like a cheap minion. It allows you to instantly swing the board back in your favour.
I think what you've said's pretty accurate. What stands out about Broomstick is that aggro decks, right? Aggro tempo decks are all about leveraging the early turns to build up a big board presence to aggressively attack the opponent's life total and try and kill them as fast as possible. The problem that slower decks that played like big minions, beefy minions and stuff in the past was that if they did that and it didn't have taunt or rush immediately, they'd just die because the opponent would just ignore the minion. Broom just says, oh, well, so you've got all this aggro stuff, yeah? Well, when I play all my big minions, I'm just going to kill them all.
For me, the absolute prime example of this is Dark Lair Warlock, right? Broomstick initially wasn't in that deck, and people didn't really think about it. And then my friend Aiden, right, he came up with this idea. This is Aiden, who's like another moderator in the DMH Discord. He was just playing a lot of this deck like I was. And one day he said, hang on, why don't we put Broomstick in this deck? What this meant was you could just swing the board back from anything, because what you'd do is you'd play lots and lots of 0 mana or 1 mana 8/8s, and then play Broomstick. And then just kill everything on your opponent's board, and they wouldn't be able to do anything.
Problem with Dark Glare, as you say, yes, it was all very powerful, making a big board, but it was still vulnerable to aggro, because if they got, like if aggro druid, say, went underneath, going off on turn 3, which it could, right? Aggro druid can definitely kill on turn 3 in wild. Then doing all the Dark Glare stuff doesn't matter. But Broom, like you say, it just invalidates it. It's also the namesake of the long-time tier 1 deck before Darkmoon Fair, Lee Broom Paladin.
They had this sort of optimization process where people trying to figure out how exactly Impure Paladin, so to speak, could actually be built. And it turns out that the way that you build it is putting the very best like neutral card in the game in your deck. And using Penflingers and using Broom and Lemur of Wisdom, you can very easily clear like a big board that initially, when you look at it, you think, oh my goodness gracious me, I've only got these small minions in my hand. How on earth am I going to do that? Part of the sort of fun of that deck and to a certain extent, like the skill of the deck was actually figuring out how you get these crazy board clears off with Broom. And it just sort of enabled that. And without Broom, like the deck just can't function. Like it just doesn't work.
Because you don't play like Wild Pyro or Consecrate to activate your equality equivalent. And
that's right.
Broom kind of just substitutes in as a way of pinging stuff off. Dark Glare is still a tier 2 1.5 deck in Wild, right? So that should give an indication as to how dumb Broom still is.
Risky Skipper, 1 mana, 1/3 pirate. After you play a minion, deal 1 damage to all minions. This card is great if you're a warrior, right? It enables you to build your decks so differently to how you would before. We get cards reintroduced like Armorsmith, cards that see little play without Skipper like Bloodsworn Mercenary, right? We use cards like Battle Rage as well. And this neat little package enables armor gain, AoE, and card draw.
The cards that Risky Skipper synergizes with are cards that have sort of seen bits of play here and there in Warrior anyway. Like during the All Doom meta, Enrage, like Aggro Warrior, was one of the, if not the best deck in the format, with things like Imani Berserker and Core Chrono, the Inner Rage Bloodsworn Mercenary was a good win condition for that deck. So Bloodsworn Mercenary was established as a powerful card, but what Risky Skipper does is it means that you can play Bloodsworn with very little cost. You don't have to put a rubbish card like Inner Rage into the deck. You can just put Skipper in, and it just synergizes with a bunch of other stuff as well, whilst also being as a semi-AoE to deal with early aggro, wide boards. Another big problem Warriors had, and this is a fair thing to say, is that card draw is quite often somewhat of a weakness. Skipper into anything is an instant Battle Rage draw 2, at which case it breaks even. It's like a good card, 2 mana draw 2, and see play in pretty much every deck. So it's like, the card kind of does everything.
Cards like this are kind of essential to a class's survival in Wild, right? And I'm not exaggerating when I say, like, you can have extremely powerful cards, but if you don't have these certain mainstays, then the class can really struggle. Demon Hunter is a class with lots and lots of powerful cards in it, but it spent about a good 4 months not having any sort of meta presence in Wild because it didn't have these sort of staples. Like in Warlock, you've got Void Caller into Void Lord and Enhanced Dreadlord and Mal'Ganis and that sort of thing.
Yeah, the staple, like cards that are fine anyway, but in combination with each other give you this sort of insane power turn or something, or some sort of incredible utility like Skipper has. It's good when you're ahead, when you're behind, it does everything, really.
Yeah. So this kind of core sort of cements Warrior's future in Wild. The one thing about the card is it's probably a bit too strong for Standard, and it probably should have been nerfed. But the problem is, if you nerf Skipper, like you kill Warrior, so you've got a bit of a problem there.
What you said about balancing the card is very interesting because it's very rare that specific cards get other cards nerfed. Risky Skipper has caused at least 2 directly to get nerfed. Like Blood Boil Brute.
Yes.
Albeit only slightly, but it got nerfed directly because it was so silly with Skipper. And then Bloodsworn Mercenary, as I said, it was a good, decent card, saw a bit of play here and there. And then it got nerfed because it was too good with Skipper.
I feel like I'm a little bit biased as a Warrior player to say don't nerf Skipper.
I'll be honest, it's really improved my opinion of Warrior. I've played far more Warrior since Skipper's come out than I ever did previously.
One other thing to say about it is it was kind of the saviour of Wild at Scholomance when Dark Glare was running amok. Because you do this in Lord Barov and kill their big board full of 8/8s without, kill it through Lothab as early as turn 4.
Wow.
Dead Man's Hand, tier 2 deck at that point, according to some.
Yeah, shout out to the court, that's...
Shout out to the court.
That's my guys right there, come on.
I wonder if they ever thought about that. Thought, let's make a really busted card for Warrior. Let's also make it so they have to pay some money to go.
Well, I was tempted to talk about it, but I figured it'd just get cut out. I was just going to say, like... Blizzard knew exactly how good this card was, so they put it behind the paywall, so you have to buy the adventure to get it.
we're going to talk about 3 cards out of Ashes of Outlands. These are the Org Merchants. So we've got Ethereal Org Merchant, 1 mana, 2/1 common. Battle Cry, deal 1 damage to a minion and give it spell damage +1. Guardian Org Merchant, 1 mana, 2/1 Battle Cry, deal 1 damage to a minion and give it Divine Shield. And Rocket Org Merchant, 1 mana, 2/1 Battle Cry, deal 1 damage to a minion and give it Rush.
When you pick these, my immediate thought was, oh, James has been playing Arena. I was like, yeah, because I know exactly how good these are in Arena.
They are good.
I remember when these were initially released, I think it was in one of the reveal streams, and I was like, yeah, that's cool. Those are all really cool effects.
Yeah. You can sort of see it, can't you? Because like Ashes is all like this sort of Mad Max post-apocalyptic world. I'm going to cut your legs off. I'm going to give you rockets, and it's going to hurt quite a bit, but I'm giving you, you're getting a bit faster. I don't really understand what Guardian's doing to give you Divine Shield or Ethereal's doing to give you spell damage, but the point is, like,
I think Guardian Org Merchant's like putting armor plating on you.
Yeah.
Not giving you like armored arms or something. Metal arms, that sort of thing.
Oh, okay, yeah, I see.
It's kind of a standard semi-staple in aggro decks. It sees a lot of play in aggro Demon Hunter. It sees a lot of play in Highlander Hunter, where they go Bone Chewer Brawler into Guardian Org Merchant, and that is just horrible to deal with.
Oh, yes.
The other thing I'm supposed to say is Scrap Imp Zoo, not like recently, but when it was the whole Scrap Imp completely based around that, Guardian and Rocket were both staples in that iteration.
Ah, yes. Kelosef Zoo version 2.
Yeah, pretty much, right? Pretty much.
Ethereal Org Merchant has recently seen play in Lifesteal Demon Hunter as like an essential combo piece.
Yeah, that's I think Arena's really where these lot shine. Well, where Rocket shines in particular.
Yeah, it's funny how many cards become kind of daft when they've got initiative. Like, I'm just looking at the cards in Ashes of Outlands, actually, and Burrowing Scorpion is like another one, where it's so often in Arena, it's like 4 mana, 5/2, kill a guy, then kill another guy because you've got stealth. It's like with Rocket, you're running it into like a 5 health guy immediately. It's just kind of silly.
Scavenger's Ingenuity. 2 mana Hunter spell, common. Draw a beast, give it +2/+2. If you go on standard and you type in draw on Hunter, realistically, there's only sort of 3 remotely playable Hunter draw cards. Diving Griffin is less common because there's not quite as many decks that want the 4/1 body being so weak, but it's still an excellent card. But Ingenuity...
And it's seen a lot of play in the past as well.
Yeah, it still has. And Ingenuity just completely bypasses that by tutoring directly. So, for example, it's one of the main contributors to a resurgence in everyone's favourite deck, Face Hunter. Playing 2 copies of Ingenuity with Face Stalker and Wolpertinger essentially guarantees you either a 1 mana 6/6 or a secret tutor that's like a pseudo draw and a massive soft taunt type thing. Then there's its obvious synergy with the Prime. Don't think I need to say anything about that, really. It's an 8 mana 24/24 with Rush. It's insane. So
I can think of something to say about it. I think something to say would be the fact that this card used to be even stronger, because it used to be 2 mana draw a beast, give it +3/+3.
Exactly. How it was initially priced at +3/+3, I don't really know. I mean, I think the thing with it is that hand buff bad,
Yeah.
It's all that. But 2 mana to draw a specific minion tribe is not terrible for Hunter. It means you can really tailor your deck and play beasts that are just good and cut out all the bad beasts that you'd otherwise have to just sort of play because you would have to, right? And it's just got natural synergy with Wolpertinger. It just turns it into an 8/8 as it was, but a 6/6 now.
Something else that's interesting about Ingenuity is its sort of similarity to Corsair's Cash. Something about Ashes where they thought 2 mana tutor spells. This will be fine.
Yeah.
It's funny what you say about the hand buff, because historically, like, hand buff across most classes, but especially Hunter, has been kind of a joke. I mean, even Nerf, like you say, 2 +2/+2, it's fantastic. Like, it's a brilliant card.
You can make it guarantee that it draws something that you can immediately play out as well. That's always the issue with hand buffs, is that it's all very well buffing it, but if you're putting hand buffs on a 6 drop, it's not actually going to do anything until turn 6. But Ingenuity allows you to directly aim your buff at something. and tutor it, so you're not even losing hand advantage. And it kind of, apart from like Death Rattle Hunter and stuff like that, I don't think there's a deck that doesn't run it as the maximum copies, really. Always an interesting sign after a card got directly nerfed.
We've cheated with our next few cards because we're not talking about one card. We're talking about quite a few. We're talking about Librams. So that's Aldor Attendant, Libram of Justice, Libram of Wisdom, Aldor Truthseeker, Libram of Hope. And I hope you're watching this on YouTube because I'm going to put a little graphic up with all of them in it. Honorary mention, obviously, to Lady Liadrin, which also came out in the set. I, myself, I'm not a player who frequently jumps to Paladin. However, I have played a lot of Libram Paladin in the last, I want to say, like 6 months or so. And I've absolutely loved it. What do you want to say about these cards? Because I feel like this is more your sort of area than mine.
I love these cards.
Of course.
You've spoken about the Skipper engine in Warrior. I think you agree with me on this. I think these are a similar sort of thing for Paladin, long term.
Absolutely.
You can just sort of slot them into decks and just have an engine for survivability, damage, buffs, and you can do all sorts of extra combos with them. Versatility, I think, is what sets them apart. They can be used as a tempo archetype, like in standard pure Paladin. They can be used as a sort of mid-rangey, weird control thing, like Libram Paladin. In previous years, Paladin has had some of the harshest treatment from the Blizzard design team in terms of how it just keeps getting loads of random archetypes and just things that just don't work.
Yeah, definitely.
Honestly, its Ashes of Outland set is astonishingly powerful when you look at it.
There's not a single bad card there. Every single card is amazing.
So yeah, every card has literally been integral to a tier 1 deck. Scholomance was also insane for Paladin.
Yeah, certainly.
And between those two, it's just completely reinvigorated the class. And I would say in Scholomance meta, it was perhaps the most consistently powerful class over the entire run.
Absolutely. It's funny how you say that because of the fact that Libram Paladin took a while to sort of take off because of the fact that it had such a lengthy refinement phase.
Yeah.
And like you said, like the difference between that and pure Paladin is kind of astounding. And maybe if you just sort of saw all of these cards in a vacuum, you would just assume that both archetypes did very similar things because you think, oh, well, I'll just build pure Paladin without all the pure payoff cards or and that sort of thing. But they're actually very different decks. And like you say, the fact that this one engine like serves as like a catalyst for both is fascinating. It's really, really good. And like you say, this set is, really driven Paladin this year. And good on them because they need it. So
even though the Outland had a very good set, the Libram stuff was never actually particularly good. But then from day one of Scholomance even, for most of it, actually, Pure Paladin was the best deck to play for laddering up to Legend.
Yeah, certainly.
It was like the number one. I think the fact that the decks that the package enables in Wild are different again as well is very interesting, right?
It's funny because for a long time, we've got this old thing of like, oh, Paladin is just this sort of one-trick pony class. It's got Odd Paladin, which continues to obviously be extremely powerful, by the way. And it's got that, and maybe Mech Paladin, and maybe Murloc Paladin as well. But now we've got all the Libram stuff. And recently, I've been playing a lot of Holy Wrath Paladin. This is just actually before the Polkelt nerf, so I'm not really sure how the deck plays right now. But the idea is like using all the Libram stuff to generate tempo on board and let you fight for the board. Use things like Wild Pyromancer to quell these aggro decks with, and using lots of Libram of Wisdom and that kind of thing. And then you kill them with the Holy Wrath combo. So you go Polkelt into Holy Wrath and hit them for 25 or 20, depending on if you draw Shavala or a Molten Giant. That deck has been incredibly fun for me to play.
I'm really glad you've come around to the Paladin side, mate. It's good to have you.
I've seen the light.
I'm just so glad it's finally had the spotlight in Standard, really, because it was so terrible for a long time. They just decided for this year to make it good.
Right, everyone's favourite card. Penflinger, 1 mana, 1/1, neutral, common minion, battle cry, deal 1 damage, spell burst, return this to your hand. Penflinger, as well as being the most annoying card in the game if you're killed by it, is again this just incredibly versatile, cheap card that I think more than Broomstick flew under a lot of people's radars. Like, I can remember all these cards being revealed and thinking Penfling was like, that's interesting. You know, it's like Elven Archer, but a little bit better. And I never thought it's really, really good, but it turns out it's really, really good.
I remember us both saying at the time, I think, that we thought it was really cool, and if they could find a use for it, it'd be cool. But
Yeah.
I wasn't expecting it to be anything like as insane as it is.
And it is insane.
Absolutely nuts card. Like, it's one of those where the damage mounts up.
Yes.
And the fact that you can put it anywhere, so it can ping off minions that need to be pinged off. It can do all of your face damage, as it does in Libra and Paladin. It's a combo activator for ETC Warrior. It's an insane combo activator in Razor Priest in Wild.
Oh, God.
Yeah, I know you're not a fan of that.
Again, it's the same thing of like, right, we've got this great deck. Hey, you know Spawn of Shadows? You know how that's a really good card? Let's just put in another one. So let's put in this guy throwing pens at you.
Seance Penfinger. And honestly, it's just infinite damage at that point. That's essentially what it means. Is it just means like your opponent just gets sort of melted at that point.
I mean, it's funny actually, because like you say, it's damage over time. 1 mana deal 1 isn't good, obviously, but it's kind of goes to show how well balanced the hero powers are, because of the fact that Mage's ping costs 2 mana. And obviously 2 mana deal 1 isn't very good, but when it costs you like 0 resources and it's just costing you tempo, like that's fine. But Penflinger essentially gives every class like a 1 mana ping.
The other thing is, we talk about fun and interactive occasionally on this show. Penflinger is the least interactive card you'll ever find. If you can get enough spells to make it work, your opponent can literally not do anything, because it just flies back in the hand. As
I sort of alluded to in the introduction, people hate fighting against this card.
It says, "Hey, loser." And then when it goes back in the hand, it says, "It wasn't me." Or death by 1,000 cuts is bad enough. But it's like BM as well, and you can't even squelch it. It's incredible.
I know.
The card does everything I love about the game. And like I say, it's my favourite card of the year. It's great.
Is that where you go? That's your favourite card? Okay. Just be prepared for for not showing your face on the internet for a while.
No, well, mate, honestly, I think we're past that point. The deck I probably played the most of in Standard in Scholarmance was Priest. Okay. Like, I'm not interested in being popular.
Now then, everyone, Future James here. I'm just sat editing podcast on a lovely frozen Sunday afternoon. Hope you're all doing well. We've taken a little bit of a break from Hearthstone for the last month or so, but we're back now, releasing consistent content on Hearthstone. And this is part 1 of our favourite cards of 2020. I'll be releasing part 2 sometime in next week. After that, we'll be talking about BlackRock and the Grand Tournament. So yeah, stay safe, everyone. We'll see you then.